Hi everyone, welcome to QuickBooks Online, the ASBDC on-demand webinar. This is getting started. My name is Stacy Kildall, and I wrote the material for you guys. I was really excited to do this. I love working with my local SBDC, and I've had the pleasure of attending and doing some training at the national conferences the last couple years, so I was really excited to be able to do these. A little bit about myself. My name is, again, Stacy Kildall, and I have written quite a bit of the training material that Intuit has out there for QuickBooks Online for a few different countries. You can see on the screen there the US, Canada, Singapore, Australia, and UK. I'm one of the first pro advisors to get QBO certified. I've actually been using it for my own companies since about 2004, end of 2004, 2005, so pretty much as long as I've been a pro advisor. And I'm an advanced certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor as well, so I'm certified in QBO as well as the desktop editions. And I've been teaching QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online nationally, internationally actually, to end users, accountants, and consultants for about 8 or 9 years now. And the reason I get to do that is because I'm a member of the Trainer and Writer Network that Intuit has. We are accounting professionals who have our own practices that have applied and auditioned and basically proven ourselves that we can write the content as well as deliver it. And one of my favorite things that I get to do is co-host, and I'm co-host and co-founder of Radio Free QuickBooks. And this is a weekly online radio show / podcast, and we talk about all things basically accounting and all things QuickBooks. Best practices, how-tos. We have guests to come on to talk about fraud prevention, data breach. We ask Intuit to help us out sometimes, and other products and services to come on to talk about things that can help us as accounting professionals as well as our small business clients. So it's really not just for accounting professionals. It's really geared towards anybody who uses QuickBooks, desktop or online. And you can find me on Twitter at Stacy Kildall right there. So I am active in social media, so you can pretty much find me if you have any questions. After this course, what we're going to do today is we're going to show you how to edit your company settings and customize QuickBooks Online. I'm going to show you how to assign user access and invite the accountant users. We have 2 accountant users that are available for free. They don't count against the users that are included in your subscription, and there's 3 subscription levels, Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus. So I'm going to show you how to deal with user access and invite the accountant users. If you're interested in those 3 subscription levels, please check out the Train the Trainer on-demand webinar that we have. I'm going to show you guys how to convert an existing desktop file to QuickBooks Online, how to create some transactions in QBO, and I really am excited to show you guys how to use the bank feed in QuickBooks Online to be more productive. I think this is one of the ways that I use personally for my own businesses, as well as how I work with my clients, my small business clients, to really help my company and my small businesses be really more productive and a lot more efficient. I'm actually going to step out of PowerPoint and spend the rest of this webinar pretty much in product, showing you and doing demos. However, there is a PDF handout that has screenshots of most of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about. So we can get going. So here we are in Google Chrome. That is the recommended browser to use with QuickBooks Online, and I've actually already signed up and created a new QuickBooks Online Plus subscription. So it's going to ask me for my company name and my company address. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and put in here the city as well as the state. And one of the reasons why it does this is it does this really cool thing where it actually aggregates the information and tells the user, the small business owner, who else is in the area that does what they do. So I love this setup. I think this is really cool. You don't have to go through and do this if you don't want to. You can actually click out of this. You can see the X here in the top right hand corner, and you can skip this step if you need to. If you are a Windows or a Mac user, if you click here, this is going to take you to a link to another page that will give you instructions as to how to convert that desktop file. And I'm going to show you how to create to convert a Windows file a little bit later. So I'm just going to put in my city here and my state and my zip code, and I'm going to click Save and Next. And the next screen we're going to personalize QuickBooks. It takes me to our homepage, and this is the next screen that you would normally see. I've already been through this process and I'm redoing it, so it's being a little bit goofy here. So it's going to ask me my industry. So I'm going to start choosing accounting or bookkeeping. And I'm going to say that I sell products and services, and I want to say that I am an S Corp. It's going to ask me, do you want to import? If I say yes, it's going to give me that link again. Do you have W-2 employees? I'm going to go ahead and say no for right now, and for this I'm just going to say I like to get paid with cash and check. We can change these settings and do all of this later. So now I'm going to choose Save and Next. And this is what is really cool, is this little rainbow shows you how many QuickBooks users, QuickBooks Online users worldwide, how many businesses, how many of those are in my same industry, and then my favorite part is it shows me how many like mine are nearby. So this maybe, it gives you a little bit of an idea, or it gives the small business owner a little bit of an idea of, what kind of colleagues or competitors they have around. So once it does this, and I just think this is a really neat little thing that it does, and again, you can skip all this if you want by just clicking that X. So I'm just going to click Save and Next. And the next thing that's going to happen once it kind of gets all of that information in, and it's going to take me directly to the home page. Because I've used QuickBooks Online Accountant to create this account, it's taking me to the accountant home. And there is a QBOA webinar, on-demand webinar, that you might want to check out. But if your client is doing this, if the small business owner is doing this directly from the web, this is the screen that they're going to get. So what they're going to see, they're going to see some videos on how to use QBO. I'm going to go ahead and click out of that because I don't really need that. So this is the home page that we have, and this is what they're going to see. So from the home page, one thing that I do want to point out is if you have clicked out of that personalizing and that setup, you can actually go to the home page and go to what's called the activities feed. And this kind of shows you all of the stuff that you can do or that's been happening with it. And you can actually click Set Up Your Company and Personalize QuickBooks. If I hadn't gone through those steps, these would be clickable links, but because I have completed them, it's giving me a nice happy little green check mark saying that I'm all done. I can actually go here and get a link to download the free QuickBooks mobile app for your smartphone or your tablet, and we can also do the tour of the home page. And what this does is this just shows you all of the features. We have our Quick Create button, and we have our income, which is going to, these are clickable and it'll take you to reports. So this gives you just a tour of all of the different aspects of that home page. The other thing too is that because this is a trial, I can go ahead and click subscribe now and put in the credit card information so that my subscription won't be interrupted. And then again, if I'm converting, this is where I would go to click to convert my desktop file, whether it's Windows or Mac. And at the end of this webinar, I'm actually going to show you some screenshots of how that process works. It's actually quite easy to convert, and we'll show you the Windows version. We want to do our company settings. So to get to our company settings, you're going to click this gear icon. You can actually also click the company name here in the top right-hand corner. And then we want to go over to our company settings. So if we click on company settings, this is going to show us all of the things that we can do to set up our company. And you really want to go through and do this first and sit down with the business owner and make sure that QBO is set up the way that they need to use it. And again, we didn't enter an address in when we went through that setup. If you wanted to, I could do that now. I'll put in street name. It's got the city, it's got the zip code because we entered all of that in. If you have, this would be the legal address. If you have different addresses for working with customers that you want customers to contact the business, or maybe there's a different address for communicating with your state and federal government, you can click this here. This was the email address that's associated with my account. I can put in my website if I want. I can just enter that in here. And I'm not going to go through each one of these company settings. Then I would put in my company phone number, my EIN, my fiscal year. So these are all the basics about that small business that you want to go ahead and enter in. One important thing is closing the books. I do want to point out that if you want to show your clients how to close the books so that changes can't be made, if you click on this, you can put in your closing date, and then you can also set a password for that closing date so that not just anybody can make those changes. You can click and jump over here on this menu to different areas of this list, but you can also get to each one of these simply by scrolling down. If you just use the scroll on your mouse and you go down here, you can see you get to each one of the things here. I'm already at the categories, so this is where you would set up any location or class tracking that you might need. And again, just as you scroll down, just make sure that you get these all set up and go through with the small business owner how their payments are. If they're going to be using, purchase orders, this is where you would turn it on. So this is where all of the settings are for the company. And once you're done, you just click Save at the bottom. And the next thing I want to show you is managing users. Again, we're going to go click our gear icon, and over here under your company, you're going to select Manage Users. So because I set this up, this is my account, I am the master admin. The master admin basically owns the account. Because I set it up through QuickBooks Online Accountant, I'm also automatically set up as the accountant user. If my client had just gone to the QuickBooks website and set this up, if the small business owner had done that, we wouldn't have any information here for the accountant user. You can transfer the master admin if you're setting this up for the business owner. What you'd want to do is you want to select New, and this is how you're going to add any kind of user. In order to transfer that master admin, we have to select a company administrator, and then we're going to put in here small biz owners at Gmail, and put in new owner. Simply click Next. Oops. Simply click Next, and once you click Finish, an invitation will be sent to that user. And you'll see in here that it says invited. It says pending. So you won't be able to transfer the master admin until they accept that invitation and log in for the first time. I'm actually going to go ahead and delete this. So anytime you have a user that you're not using anymore, you can actually just go ahead and delete that user, and they're all done, and they'll be gone. So in order to transfer that master admin, you have to actually add a company admin first. So that's one of the most important things. So this is also great too, because you can go directly here as an admin and look at any activity. And we talk about the activity log a little bit in that Train the Trainer on Demand webinar as well. So the activity log shows all of the everything that a user does. It shows when they logged in, when they logged out, if they changed the phone number on a vendor record, really shows anything that they do. So now we want to go in and import our customer and maybe our vendor list. We have a new business here. So if I go over to my left nav menu over here and I choose customers, I can either create the new customer simply by clicking this button here and entering in the information, and I can do those one at a time. Or if I have a customer list that's in an Excel format, I can actually click Import Customers, and it's going to take me to this screen, and I can do that. What I love about this is you can actually download a sample file so that you can see how the Excel file needs to be formatted and format the data that you have that way. You would just go in here, choose that file, and go ahead and import that as well. Another way that you can import that data is if you click on your gear icon and again you go to Import Data, you'll get to another screen that will allow you to import customers, vendors, you can import a chart of accounts, and you can also import any of your items, your products and services that the business is going to be selling. We can also import vendors from the vendor menu, And again, same principle here, one at a time, click the button for new vendor. If we want to import, we're going to click that drop down and choose import vendors, and it'll take us to this screen. And again, we have the sample file that is downloadable for each one of those imports. One of my absolutely favorite features about the new QuickBooks Online interface is this little button right here. It's called Quick Create, and the actual button is one of my favorite things. If you look, as I click on it, it just spins around, and I click it again to close that Quick Create window, and it spins again, and it's just one of those little delighters that makes me smile, and I love it. It doesn't make me work any better or any faster. I just love to watch that little thing spin. So, you know, simple mind, simple pleasure. So this is one way that you're going to be able to go and start recording transactions, and the user is going to be able to create transactions. So if we click on this, we have a pretty short menu, and this is going to give us the most common transactions that are created. But if we click more, we can see we have all the other transactions that you could create in QuickBooks Online. You have invoice, you know, all your customer transactions, your vendor transactions, any of your employees. This is provided that you have to turn the payroll subscription on in QuickBooks Online through your company settings, and you can do that in your company settings, turn the payroll on, or if you just go to the employee over here on your left nav bar, you can do that as well. And then we have our bank deposits, transfers, journal entries, just kind of other miscellaneous transactions here. If I don't need to see all this, again, I can just choose Show Less. And then again, to close that little box, that Quick Create menu, I can just click the X. I think the easiest way to create most transactions would be to use the Quick Create. So if I click on that, it gives me easy access to creating an invoice. I can just go to my invoice. I can add a new customer here. I can either choose Add New, or I can just simply start typing, click Tab. I can save that very quickly. This is just going to dump the name into my customer list if I need to. If I do a new one, maybe I do my maiden name here, and I can do more info, and so now I can enter all of the information in and just click Save. I can enter any products or services if I haven't entered any in. So choose Services and say New Thing I'm doing, and say $100. So I'm creating this invoice. I can turn payments on or off. The payments, I can do that from here. This allows the customer to be able to pay online, or if you have credit cards with QuickBooks Payments, so they can use a credit card or a bank account to pay online. Once I'm done, I can make this recurring. I can print it. If I need to, I can mark it to be printed later. I can print a packing slip that goes along with this. I'm just going to go ahead and save and close. So you can see it's showing me that my first invoice has been created. Now I want to show you the recent transactions. So this is a really great tool. If you know you just created something, you can actually go back to recent transactions, and I'll show you a list of all of those. You can also use the search feature here and just search for you know, something very quickly, or you can do an advanced search, which gives you a little bit more criteria to search for. Again, I go back to my Quick Create. I can receive payment in. Maybe I want to now receive a payment in for, you know, Stacy. Or I think we do Stacy Martin. There we go. We have the invoice here. So now I can go ahead and I want to say that she's paying me cash. We always like cash. And I can just click that, and it'll automatically get marked to that. Save and close. So I've created an invoice, I have received a payment, and now I need to go in here and make my bank deposit. So once I do that, I can see there's my payment, and I'm going to put it into, I don't have an account, so I need to put in my bank account because this is a brand new. If I just click Tab, it's going to ask me what this is. It's a bank account. This is my checking account, and I simply click Save. And so now I can choose the bank account that I am setting up in, and I can just go ahead and click Save and Close. So that, another really great way to do this is the workflow here. We have these customers, now that we have some customers in, I can go to my customer menu and I can use what we call the money bar. And so the money bar is a really great tool. You can, once you have some customers in, you don't need to necessarily go to the Quick Create. This is a really great tool to teach new business owners workflow. So it kind of starts over here with estimates, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through creating an estimate, converting it to an invoice, and then receiving the payment in to see how all of this happens. So we've got Stacy Kildall here. I'm actually going to choose this and choose Create Estimate. So again, I can use that Quick Create button, or I can go directly to my customer menu and use my money bar. So I'm just going to say we have our services, and this is some stuff, and we'll say that this is 3 of these, and it's $100, right? So here we have our estimate that we have. It's marked pending. If I need to, I can say that it has been accepted. It's been accepted by Stacy, and it was accepted today. Save and close. So I've got my estimate in. You can see my money bar right now. It's not really filtered, but as I click on these, it's going to filter my customer list by the transactions that I have. So if I look at my estimates, now I can go ahead and I can start an invoice. I don't have to open that invoice or that estimate. I can actually just directly click Start Invoice. It will automatically bring up an invoice screen. I can choose to, if there was more than one estimate here, I could actually choose to add more than one estimate to an invoice from what we call the panel or the drawer. And again, this shows up automatically when you're creating an estimate or an invoice, when you're showing an invoice, any estimates automatically will show up for that customer, whether you do the invoice from the Quick Create or you do it from the customer menu in the money bar. I'm going to go ahead and add this. So it's automatically going to put that in. And now all I have to do is simply save and close. Right? So I would send this out to my customers. So now going back, this is a sticky menu. So it remembers that I had this filtered by my estimates. And now I want to go filter and look at my open invoices. So because I don't have any other estimates open, there's nothing here, and you can tell it's chosen because it's kind of sticking up a little bit. If we choose open invoices, now we see, and this is the other thing I want to point out here, is this column shows you the next logical step to take for whatever transaction is showing. So I'm looking at an open invoice. When I was looking at estimate, this said create invoice, start invoice. Because now I'm looking at an open invoice, the next logical step in the workflow would be to receive a payment. So, but I do have other options. I can drop this down and choose send a reminder. Maybe this customer is past due. I can print a statement, or if I need to, I can create an additional invoice. And there are other things too you can do. We have some batch options. If I had more than one invoice, I could choose for more than one. It doesn't matter if it's all the same customer at all. I can say I need to go ahead and print statements for these. So it's a pretty neat tool. We have the gear icon here where you can go in and you can edit these columns. You can also export it to an Excel file as well as print this list. So I'm here, so now I'm going to receive a payment. So basically everything that we kind of just did using the Quick Create button, we also can do here. And this is what I really recommend to my small business clients, is just kind of when you're dealing with customer transactions, you really just want to live in this screen. All of those transactions you can pretty much create from here, and you can manage them as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is just receive that payment again. It automatically applies $300 payment to that invoice. So really all I have to do here is say how they're paying me and where I want it to go. And I want it to go directly to my undeposited funds because I may have other transactions. Save and close, and you can see I'm done. So because this is a sticky menu and I had this filtered by my open invoices, I don't have anything there, but I can click over here to my favorite button, which is paid, and it will show me those 2 transactions that have been paid. Again, to create the deposit, I still have to go to my Quick Create and choose bank deposit. And so I only have one of those payments in there. So now I can go ahead and choose that, and it's going to my bank account. It's going today, and I simply save and close. And again, I just want to point out, I love the recent transactions. So it's showing you all of the recent transactions we did. We did that invoice. We took the payment. We made the deposit. We created an estimate. We changed it to an invoice. We received payment. We made the deposit. So I love the recent transaction screen. And our next logical step is creating some vendor transactions. Again, we can do this. If I go to my client home, I just kind of like to regroup in the home page. You don't necessarily have to. I could have stayed where I was. But if I need to create some expenses, and one thing that I have found is kind of interesting is I tell my small business owners when they use cash, their own personal cash, to go in you know, or maybe a debit transaction. How about this? If it's a debit transaction or an electronic transaction, a debit card or some sort of EFT, you know, I tell my clients, go in and enter a check. And they say, but it's not a check. And I have to explain to them, but in QuickBooks, it is a check and you need to enter it in as a check. You just don't put in a physical check number. I think QBO helps that confusion a little bit by giving us the option to create what are just general expenses. So we can train those clients to go in and choose expense. And this is what's really great. So we'll choose, we'll just make a new vendor. I'm just going to say new vendor and I'm going to hit tab and just dump that name into it. And then the client has the option, the business owner has the option of choosing where this came from. Right now we just have a bank account, but we can also maybe put in our credit card account, right? And I'm going to hit tab and it's going to bring up a new, add a new one. So this is not a bank account, this is a credit card, and I'm just going to choose credit card for my detail type. My account type is credit card. I'm going to leave the name and I'm going to go ahead and choose save. So now maybe this is an EFT. So your client takes the debit card and they go to get some office supplies. And so we'll put in office expenses. They can put in the description. Maybe this is, you know, copier paper, and they spent $50 on it. So they can choose their payment method or not. They can leave this blank if they need to, and there's no reference number. So really they're just saying, I used my bank account for an EFT, and then all they have to do is simply choose save and close, and they're done. So that expense was already entered in. They can also go directly to the checking account to do the same thing. So they can do that in a couple different places. And again, they can do credit card credit as well. So this is probably where you want to go to have them enter in those credit card charges. This is one place to do that. They can enter actual physical checks from the Quick Create as well. And we have our new vendor, and they're using the bank account here. It's going to give the check number. We'll say this is check number 2112, and you know, maybe this is more office expense, and this is another, say, $50. So we've got our check number. I can go in and save and close. So we have check number 2112, right? And they have put it to office expense. Now we can go ahead and create a vendor bill. Again, you can use the Quick Create, and you can go to the bills, and you can choose that new vendor. So I'm going to choose new vendor, and put in the bill number is 9876. And we'll do some, we'll choose maybe postage, and we'll say that this is $10, and save and close. So we've entered our bill. So now if I go to my vendor menu here, we have the same kind of screen, right? We have that same money bar. We have all of our vendors here. I can sort it by any open bills that I have, any overdue bills. I don't have any overdue bills. And again, all the bills that I have paid in the last couple days, in the last 30 days. So we have 2 checks. I have 0 bills paid, but you can see we have written, we have an expense and we have a check. So if you drill down into that, it'll take you to that vendor record and show you the transactions. It does the same with the customers as well. One thing that I want to point out, and this is a really common problem, is that a lot of times small business owners don't understand the enter bills, pay bills function in QuickBooks and how important that is to use it. They will enter this bill in, right? So we have our open bill for $10, and then a lot of times what they'll do is they'll go in here to write a check. And what happens is they'll put in their new vendor, and you can see as I did this, this drawer or panel pops out to remind the user, hey, you're writing a check. for this particular vendor, they have an open bill. I'm going to pretend to be someone who's really working hard to do it wrong, and I'm going to click on that. Maybe I don't understand what that is. Maybe no one, you know, I just don't, I've never really done any bookkeeping. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say office, oh no, this was postage, and I'm going to say $10. So I'm going to put that check in, check number 2113. I'm really paying that bill, right? Maybe I'm saying that I'm paying the open bill, and I can save and close. So what's happened here is we have the open bill showing up on our payables. If we're working on an accrual basis, we have that expense duplicated now because we have the check, we also have the bill, and we also have an incorrect open payables balance. What we would historically do to fix this would be to go to the check, apply it to accounts payables, and then go to the pay bills screen and apply that payment, apply that credit. We don't have to do that anymore. If you know that this has happened, you can actually go to your recent transactions and find that check. It doesn't matter if the check has been cleared or not, as long as the check amount is the same amount for the bill, and you can have more than one bill in here. Let's say we make this check $20 and we save and close, and we actually create another bill for this vendor for another $10, right? And we'll say this is bill number 89875, save and close. So now we have two open bills, okay? And I still have that check. So my client, in error, wrote a check rather than going to the pay bills screen. And what I can do with that is I can simply add this bill and add this bill, and it goes from being a bill payment, a check, to a bill payment. Again, I'm going to show you that really quickly. I'm going to back out all of this, right? So I'm going to cancel this. So the normal process would be to come here and click Make a Payment, or go to Quick Create and pay the bills, right? Our client hasn't done that. This user hasn't done that. They've simply gone and cut the check. So we just need to find the check number, simply click on that check, and now we see those two bills that were paid in the drawer, in the panel. I can say, and this says check, this is check number 2113 right here up in the top left-hand corner. Watch what happens. I can say add, the check number stays the same, the amount stays the same, and this goes from being a check to a bill payment, and I can simply save and close. So with the new QuickBooks Online, it makes it a lot easier for the users to correct mistakes or actually avoid mistakes by having that drawer pop open when they go to write a check to a particular vendor that has a bill open. If you're not paying the bill, you can still write the check. That's not that big of a deal. It's just a nice, handy little tool that's available. And again, we saw that when we went to create an invoice, that estimate showed up in the drawer as well. So those are just some of the transactions that we have for your vendors as well as your customers. And again, over here, because we have this filtered by our open bills, now we can click here. It remembered that, our sticky menu. We went elsewhere and we did other things in QBO, but when we came back to our vendor menu here, it was still sorted the way we had it the last time we were there. So now I can see I have my two paid bills. So I can drill down into this and it will show the check, the expense, and the bill that we paid as well. So it'll show all of the transaction history. So the last thing that I want to show you in product is how to set up your bank feed. So we're going to go to transactions and then go to banking. And we don't have anything set up, so we're going to actually have to go ahead and set that up. I'm going to connect American Express. There we go. And my American Express credit card. And I'm going to put in my username and password. And then I clicked connect. And once it connected, it gives me my balance, and I can go ahead and choose the credit card account. If I don't have it in there, I can automatically go in and I can say create new, and so I can say that this is a credit card account and click save, and then simply just connect it. And so this will download the last, I believe, 90 days of transactions. And as it's downloading, you can actually go ahead and watch a quick video of how to deal with that. And as it's downloading transactions, you can actually watch a quick video about how to work with downloaded transactions in QBO. And then once it is finished, you can just click View Transactions, and it's just going to show you all of those transactions and then give you a couple little tips. I'm going to go ahead and click and close those out. So we can see here is our vendor. It will automatically get entered in, but if I want to, I can add an auto expense here, and I can just quickly add that expense if I need to, and go ahead and save, and then I can accept. I can do these one at a time if I need to. Maybe these, I have dues and subscriptions here, and we have dues and subscriptions here. So I changed it here. It automatically changed here as well. The ones that I need to click on, I can simply choose the ones that are correct. Maybe we have this. Dues and subscriptions is correct for Wired magazines. You know, there we go. And once I can do that, I can just go ahead and accept selected. If I make a mistake, or if the transactions have already been reconciled or need to be excluded, maybe they're personal transactions, I can actually go ahead and say exclude, and I can just click exclude, and now I don't have to enter that into my register. If I make a mistake, I can go over to accepted transactions. If I need to see those excluded transactions, I can click here so you can see this one was excluded. Maybe that was a mistake, it shouldn't have been. I can simply choose undo, and it'll go back to my unaccepted transactions here, and I can deal with it that way. So this is a really easy way to enter in transactions. If it sees, we'll go in and we'll enter in a transaction for Hallmark. So maybe I go in here to expense, how much was that? So we want to do $12.19. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say that we went to Hallmark. I'm going to add that. I'm going to choose my, what is my credit card account? Hold on, I need to choose my credit card. And maybe we have office expense, and we have $12.19, and this was on the 13th. So I'm entering that in, and you can see if there's a transaction that's already entered in to QuickBooks and it's downloaded through downloaded transactions into your bank, your credit card, you can actually, it will actually look for it, and it's already matched it. So it's found that transaction and it's saying, hey, I have this. So if it matches that, you can go ahead and choose accept. So that's how we use downloaded transactions, and it really facilitates the bank reconciliation and the credit card reconciliation. When we need to go reconcile, if we choose our gear icon again, this is where we're going to get to our bank reconciliation. I can choose that, and I'm going to select my credit card account. It has never been reconciled. I can simply choose reconcile. I can enter my statement ending date. I'm just going to put in a number, and everything has already been reconciled. So you can see if you have matched it or added it via downloaded banking, it automatically marks it as cleared in your register. So when we're dealing with credit cards, it really makes the reconciliation so quick and easy, as well as making sure that the transactions and your clients always know exactly what the real true balance is in their bank account. So we can go ahead, finish that later. The last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to flip back over to my PowerPoint. I'm going to show you some screenshots on how to convert a desktop file to QuickBooks Online. It's actually really quite simple. It's just a couple clicks. So when you're in QuickBooks Desktop, whether it's Pro, Premier, or Enterprise, and this is the Windows version, these are screenshots, they're not from the Mac version, but it's a very similar process. You're simply going to go to your company menus, you can see here, and all the way down at the bottom, you're going to choose Export Company File to QuickBooks Online. The next screen that you're going to see is just saying, hey, this is free, you get a free trial. Go ahead and just click Continue on this screen. What it's going to do at this point, and I think this is actually kind of really cool, is it's going to take a look at the features that are being used in that QuickBooks Desktop file, and it's going to, if it sees anything that may not be compatible with QBO, it's going to let you know that. So it's going to say, hey, we see that you have customized form templates, you are doing inventory, and you're also using price levels. So QuickBooks Online does not at this point have the level of customization. There is some customization for the templates, but not at the level that Desktop has. So that's why it's saying, are you sure? You're using some custom sales form templates. If you have a specific, or your clients or your business has a specific way that these form templates, these invoices and these sales receipts, these purchase orders have to go out, then you really may want to take a look and make sure QBO is the right fit. Also, you're using price levels. QuickBooks Online doesn't have price levels. There are some workarounds, such as using sub-items and things like that, or separate items for each price level, but in and of itself, it does not have the traditional price levels like there are in QuickBooks Desktop. And the last thing that it says here is inventory tracking. So QuickBooks Online does do inventory tracking. It will track quantity on hand for products that you have. However, I don't recommend, it's not a recommended best practice to convert a desktop file that has inventory. And the reason why is because those inventory items in Desktop come through in QBO. You'll get 3 different transactions. You'll get a parent account that points to the income account, and then you'll get 2 sub-items of the same name that are going to point to the asset and the cost of goods account. So what I usually recommend is if you are converting from Desktop to QBO, and you have inventory, do a clean start. Enter the opening balances via journal entry, and then enter each one. You can import the items, that's not a problem. You can import each item into QuickBooks Online from an Excel file, and then you'll have to go in and track quantity on hand and put in a adjusting inventory adjustment, basically, put what the quantity on hand is, make some adjustments for the inventory that you have on hand. And also, you're using a desktop payroll. This file that we have here on the screenshot is also using maybe enhanced payroll or assisted payroll. The payroll that works with QuickBooks Desktop generally doesn't, the integrated payroll doesn't convert, so you have to do a new payroll setup. All the data is going to transfer over, all the transactions are going to come in, but they're not going to show up in any payroll reports that are in QuickBooks Online because you haven't been using one of the payroll systems that works with QBO. And we're going to talk about some of those options in the Expanding QBO, the Expanding QuickBooks Online on-demand webinar. So there's 3 different options there. So it just has you take a look at how you're using the desktop file, and it just wants you to make sure, hey, we noticed some things going on, and we want to make sure that QuickBooks Online is going to be the best fit for you. The next screen that you're going to see is to log in. You can either create a new Intuit ID, or if you already have one, you can go in and use your Intuit ID. You can do this for your small business owner, so you can use your own. If you're a Cloud Pro Advisor or you're already a Pro Advisor, and we're going to talk about the Cloud Pro Advisor program in another on-demand webinar as well. It's really geared towards just really focusing on QBO clients. You'll enter in and sign in to the Intuit ID here. And then you have 2 options. You can either choose a subscription that you have already set up, or you can create an entirely new one. I generally will create a new company. I will do the company setup this way when I'm converting from desktop to QBO, rather than setting up the subscription and then importing the transactions later. If you have a small business owner who's already set up the subscription, it's quite easy to cancel if you need to, or again, you can use that subscription. It's really not that big of a deal. Keep in mind, once you import and you convert your desktop file to an existing QuickBooks Online subscription, it is going to override all of the data. And you can do this within the first 60 days of that subscription. So if you're going to convert the data, you have to do it within the first 2 months of having your QBO subscription. So if you're past that 60 days, you're going to have to go ahead and create a new company. We have some how-to videos, and you can see these in the handout. These are just showing how to convert the desktop file, just an end-to-end process of using QuickBooks Online Accountant to start a QBO subscription. And then we also have a KB article on how QuickBooks data convert. So there are certain ways that things come through. So we just want to make sure that you are well aware of that as well as the business owner. So we have showed you how to edit your company settings and really customize QuickBooks Online. We showed you how to add users and delete users. I just showed you how to convert an existing desktop file. We talked about creating some new transactions and really understanding how to use the bank feed in QuickBooks Online. So some of our next steps is we want you to try the QuickBooks Online test drive. There is a sample file that is out there for you and the small business owners to use. And we also have some other on-demand QBO training as well for our ASBDC friends. I want to thank you guys for spending the day with me or spending the time with me for this webinar, and I'll see you at the next one.